It's not that life is sabotaging you, it's you. And the worst part is that you don't even realize it. You've felt that sensation, haven't you? That invisible force that appears right when you're about to move forward. When you finally dare to try something new, something inside you finds a way to ruin it. An excuse, a fear, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. That's not bad luck. That's a program. One you didn't write, but that's been running inside you for years. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a finish line. You have everything you need to cross it. But there's an invisible rope tied around your waist. You pull forward, and something pulls you back. You can't see the rope, but you feel the tension. The harder you try, the stronger it holds. That's the invisible sabotage. One part of you wants to move forward, but another part doesn't feel safe with change. And that part, the one that acts in silence, is the one in control. Your conscious mind, the one that says, I want to improve, I want to change, only controls a small fraction of what you do. The rest is handled by your unconscious. That deeper layer where your habits, fears, memories live, and most importantly, your invisible associations. For example, if as a child you learned that making mistakes meant disappointing someone, your unconscious now sabotages any new attempt because it associates trying something with emotional danger. It doesn't do it to hurt you, it does it to protect you. But in protecting you from pain, it also protects you from growth. That's why you procrastinate right before something important. That's why you distance yourself from people who treat you well. That's why you repeat choices whose endings you already know. Your mind isn't against you. It's just following an old map written when you were someone else, like an outdated app trying to run on a new system. And when it crashes, it's not because it's bad, it's because it was never updated. The curious thing is that the more you deny it, the stronger it acts. Because the unconscious only loses power when you face it. And most people never do. We prefer to believe the blame lies with the world, the job, the destiny. Because admitting that the enemy is inside is terrifying. But it's also the best news possible. Because if the enemy is within, the power to change it is too. So tell me, how many more times will you let that invisible rope pull you back before you finally look at who's holding it? You're not broken, you're programmed. And the most dangerous kind of programming is the one that makes you believe you're the one choosing. It all begins long before we can remember. Before we understand the world, we're already absorbing it. A child isn't born with fear of rejection or guilt or anxiety. They learn those things by watching others, not through words, but through gestures, silences, and looks. Every time a child seeks affection and only receives it when they behave, their brain forms an invisible association. I'm loved when I meet expectations. And that small circuit gets imprinted deep in the unconscious, like a line of code that will keep running for years. A child's brain doesn't distinguish between I did something bad and I am bad. It interprets everything through the lens of survival. If I do this, I'm loved. If I don't, I'm ignored or punished. That's the foundation of emotional conditioning. To protect you, the mind hides those patterns deep inside. And then, in adulthood, it repeats them automatically. Not because it wants to hurt you, but because it believes it's keeping you safe. That's why some people push themselves to exhaustion, because deep down, their brain still believes that love must be earned through achievement. And others pull away from healthy people, because their nervous system only feels safe in the chaos it once knew as a child. Take Laura, for example. As a child, every time she brought home good grades, her father hugged her. When she failed, there was only silence. She learned that to perform meant to be worthy. Now she's 30. She's successful, respected, and constantly afraid to rest. Whenever something doesn't turn out perfect, she feels unworthy of love. No one told her this, but her unconscious is still obeying that old rule. And the most ironic part, she believes that this pressure comes from her own choice. She thinks she's disciplined, a perfectionist, driven. But in truth, she's just following an order she doesn't remember agreeing to. That's how self-deception works. The unconscious repeats what it knows and disguises it as a rational decision. It convinces you that you're choosing, when in reality, you're just repeating. Repeating what once was survival. repeating what once made you feel safe, even if today it's destroying you. You're not broken, you're programmed. And every program can be rewritten, but not while you still believe your patterns are your personality. So next time you push yourself, punish yourself, or sabotage yourself, ask this: am I choosing this? Or is it being chosen by the version of me who only wanted to feel safe? Sometimes you don't need an enemy. Your mind is perfectly capable of building one inside you, and it does it with surgical precision. It sets traps along the path, plants mines right where you're about to move forward, and then convinces you it was just coincidence. But it's not. Every time you sabotage yourself, there's a part of you trying to protect you. It just chooses the wrong way to do it. The first type of sabotage is subtle. We disguise it as, "I'll do it when I'm more ready." It looks like prudence, but it's really fear. Your mind says, if I don't try, I can't fail. So it keeps you safe from failure, but also from success. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's misunderstood self-protection. Then there's the emotional pattern, falling for people who are never available. The ones who are always distant, busy, confused, or simply never choose you. And you do it again and again, believing that you're drawn to challenges. But they're not challenges. It's your unconscious repeating the old story of, "I'm not enough." The brain seeks familiarity, not happiness. And if you learned that love equals pain, you'll chase pain, believing that's what love is. Have you ever pulled away from someone who treated you well because something was missing? That wasn't lack of chemistry. It was your nervous system confusing peace with boredom. If you grew up in chaos, calm will feel dangerous. And so, without realizing it, you trade stability for drama, because drama feels like home. Another silent form of sabotage is believing you don't deserve good things. When life starts to go well, anxiety shows up. This can't last. Something's bound to go wrong. So your mind creates the fall before it even happens, just to feel in control. But controlling pain also means blocking joy. Sometimes sabotage isn't in the mind, it's in your routines. You quit your diet just when it starts working. You spend the money you meant to save. You promise yourself rest, but take on more work instead. It's not a lack of willpower. It's fear of sustaining a bigger version of yourself. Because if you truly improve, you lose the excuse of being the victim. Self-sabotage is like walking blindfolded, tripping, and blaming the ground. But the ground isn't the problem. You're just repeating movements that once made you feel safe. The good news? If you can recognize your traps, you've already taken the first step to disarm them. So tell me, how many more times will you plant mines in your own path before daring to walk free? Your mind doesn't seek happiness, it seeks what feels familiar. And sometimes that means seeking pain, repeating chaos, returning to the same kind of story, simply because it knows how it ends. What you call destiny is often just your unconscious repeating what feels familiar. The human brain has a goal much older than making you happy, keeping you safe. And for the brain, safety doesn't mean well-being, it means predictability. It prefers the known, even if it hurts, over the unknown, even if it promises peace. That's how we end up trapped in patterns we hate but understand. Because the unknown is scary. The known, even when painful, at least doesn't surprise us. Imagine someone who grew up in chaos. In a home where every day was unpredictable, where love and anger blended into the same thing. That child learns that love is unstable, that calm is suspicious. And when they grow up, their body feels uneasy in peace. They seek intense relationships full of drama and highs and lows. Not because they want to suffer, but because that feels like home. Your mind is like a maze you built yourself in order to survive. Every turn, every wall has a purpose. Once, that maze saved you. But as the years go by, you keep walking inside it, even though the door is wide open. You complain about ending up in the same stories, without realizing your steps follow the same map. And every time something new appears, a different person, a new opportunity, your unconscious whispers, "This doesn't feel safe." And without knowing why, you ruin it. It's not bad luck, it's familiarity. Maybe life isn't as chaotic as we think. Maybe it's not fate repeating itself, but our inability to step outside the pattern. We search for light, but with our eyes fixed on the shadows we know. We say we want peace, yet we walk toward the noise that feels comfortable. And in the end, we mistake the cage for shelter. The maze doesn't hate you. It's just protecting you from what it doesn't yet understand. What you call destiny is often just your unconscious repeating what feels familiar. But every repetition is also an opportunity to wake up, because the pattern breaks the moment you see it. So next time you find yourself drawn into the same kind of story, ask yourself, is this love or just what my mind learned to call safety? Breaking the cycle doesn't mean fighting your mind. It means learning to listen to it without letting it decide for you. Because here's the truth, no one told you. Your mind is not your enemy. It only repeats what it learned. But you are not your programming. The first step to breaking the loop isn't to change what you do. It's to see what you do, calmly, without judgment. Most people react without noticing. They live on autopilot. And the more they try to force change, the more the old program activates. The one that says, this isn't safe. That's why real change begins in silence, in that instant before repeating the same mistake. When you feel that familiar sensation of, here we go again. There, that second, that's where self-awareness appears. Recognizing the pattern doesn't reinforce it, it weakens it. Every time you notice and say, this isn't destiny, it's habit, you're creating a new circuit in your brain. Literally. Your mind learns that another choice exists. Think about that moment when you're about to sabotage something good, a healthy relationship, a new job opportunity, a new habit. Your mind whispers, this feels weird, better go back to what we know. And for the first time you respond, yes, it feels weird, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. That's the gap between your past and your freedom. For years, you were taught to control your thoughts, but control creates more tension. Observation, on the other hand, creates space. When you observe without attacking your mind, when instead of saying, why am I like this, you ask, what is it trying to protect me from? Something shifts. The invisible enemy becomes a confused ally, and instead of fighting yourself, you start walking with yourself. Breaking the cycle doesn't mean erasing the past. It means no longer living inside it. It's not about becoming someone new, but remembering that you were free before you learned fear. Your mind is not your enemy. It only repeats what it learned, but you are not your programming. And now here's your challenge. The next time you feel everything repeating, stop, breathe, and ask yourself, is this a choice or a habit?